Chapter 29. Jose, a Christless Eternity. Before him, Jose saw the faces of thousands of lost souls that he knew well, deformed and screaming in the torment of a burning hell that he had taught them didn't exist. All were members of his congregation, and each face was familiar. Each soul was crying out to him in twisted, writhing, and painful agony, asking him, "Why did you lie to us? Why did you not tell us about Jesus? Our blood is upon your hands," they cried. "Our blood is upon your hands." Faces that he knew well. People who had once praised him were cursing him for failing them and misleading them down the path of damnation. Jose saw great gaping wounds oozing repulsive pus from their foreheads and right hands, shamefully remembering that he had been instrumental in convincing each one to take the mark of the beast, thus condemning each one. Though each of them there made their own choice to reject Jesus, he knew that as their shepherd, he led them toward their fateful decisions with his unrighteous example and false teachings. Jesus spoke these words, "Woe to the shepherds of Israel who only take care of yourselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? You eat the curds, clothe yourselves with the wool, and slaughter the choice animals, but you do not take care of the flock. You have not strengthened the weak, or healed the sick, or bound up the injured. You have not brought back the strays, or searched for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally. So they were scattered because there was no shepherd, and when they were scattered, they became food for all the wild animals. My sheep wandered all over the mountains and on every high hill. They were scattered over the whole earth, and no one searched or looked for them. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, because my flock lacks a shepherd, and so has been plundered and has become food for all the wild animals, and because my shepherds did not search for my flock, but cared for themselves rather than for my flock. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against the shepherds, and will hold them accountable for my flock. I will remove them from tending the flock so that the shepherds can no longer feed themselves. I will rescue my flock from their mouths, and it will no longer be food for them. Ezekiel 34, 1-10. Jose suddenly felt an intense pain in his own hand and saw the computer chip that had been implanted there, the device he had received when he gave his allegiance to the leader. Jesus revealed to him that he had taken the mark of the Antichrist, demonstrating his worship of him and his rejection of Jesus. Jose was suddenly aware that it is the mark of the beast he had willingly received. His choice had eternal consequences that he just now understood. The implanted chip was pulsating with agonizing pain, oozing the same repulsive goo that he had witnessed in the others. He was made unmistakably aware of his fatal sin, as the very words of Jesus flooded his mind, reminding him of his failures as a shepherd, and how he had led his flock to receive that deadly mark of eternal condemnation. Intense grief of immeasurable dimension overwhelmed his soul. His teachings of disbelief and blasphemy made him personally responsible, and their blood and eternal damnation burned hotly upon his hands. If anyone worships the beast in his image and receives his mark on the forehead or on his hand, he too will drink of the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his, God's, wrath. He will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment rises forever and ever. There is no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and his image, or for anyone who receives the mark of his name. Revelation 14, 9-11. Jose was filled with horror as he realized he had spent his life preaching as a false prophet. As he looked down, he saw the blood of those he had misled all over his hands, and realized the true consequences of his selfish life and his failure as a shepherd to so many who had foolishly been swayed by his persuasive teaching of his false Christless gospel, thus steering them to their eternal doom.